Excuse me, folks, before we get going, Mr. Kitten wanted to say hi to everyone this morning's. There we go. Hello, everyone. Merry stupid o'clock to one and all. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. And per usual, at stupid o'clock, we're going to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we get going, a few usual disclaimers and an apology. My hair is a living barometer. So when it gets fluffy like this, it means there's probably rain or severe storms in the area. So please excuse the fluff. I probably make some ladies in the 80s jealous. Sorry, just saying. Right, Mr. Kitten? Boop. Alright, so first off, folks, we are going to have the link to this investigative report right there in the description box, alongside the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's huge, absolutely massive archive on the subject. Also, folks, the templates, again, they are idiot proof, even for people who have tech issues like, me over here. Sign your name, click on your senator. It takes less than 2 minutes to end. Assist us in ending improper restraints, aversive punishments, and seclusion in public schools. It kills people every single year. And also, folks, we have the ever-present and self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Now, trigger warning, folks, on two fronts this morning. Trigger warning. So, I'm not awake. So, when we talk about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. So, folks, if you got young children present, please use your headphones, all right? Also, trigger warning, we are talking about in this report the sexual exploitation of a minor disabled student by an adult female staff. So, that you're warned. Which reminds me, fuck you to all you stupid, ignorant bitches who want to sit there and tell me no man can be afraid of a woman. Read this report. Read what goes on at the JRC. Read what women do to males with disabilities. All the time. Fucking spare me. Sorry. Just saying. Alright. Now, folks, it is 6:32 a.m., stupid o'clock in the morning for my weekend. So, if I stumble over my words or go off into a rant like that, my apologies in advance. My blood is still boiling from yesterday. Alright, so let's go to where we left off yesterday. Facts pertinent to the allegations investigated. ALV is a blank man who has been a client of the Judge Rotenberg Center. All these stuff that it blacks out. Wouldn't you be interested to see what it is? I6 described that ALV seems hard on the outside, but is a spoiled child on the inside. What the fuck? Okay, so you, a so-called professional, are describing a client As hard on the outside but spoiled child on the inside? Really? 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 What the fuck? Oh, let me guess. He's probably autistic, and because we need certain things for sensory reasons to keep us calm and help us self regulate, and when we don't get them, we freak the fuck out, justifiably so. You think that makes us spoiled? Fuck, I hate normal people sometimes. Isaacs described that blank babied him instead of making him face consequences for behavior prior to his coming to JRC. And ALV was highly susceptible to being taken advantage of and manipulated. Oh, for fuck's sake, and whose goddamn fault is that? You mean face the consequences of his behavior? Let me guess, you mean that he should be fucking shocked within an inch of his life? Because, how dare he have behaviors that are in line with his neurological disability that harm no one? Because of ALV's history, I6 stated that the work he did with ALV was to try to take away his neediness so that more appropriate behaviors might emerge. Neediness! Okay, folks, this is an ABA tactic. When we are screaming because we are living in a sensory hell, of which neurotypicals know absolutely fucking nothing, they say in ABA, like they practice at the Judge Rotenberg Center, that we're only doing it for attention, and therefore that behavior must be corrected. And the JRC correct that quote unquote needy attention seeking that is actually us in sensory hell by shocking the hell out of us and abusing us. Just wanted to clarify that for you. I6 described that ALV has done well at JRC. However, he described some ways in which it was clear to him that ALV sometimes had a disconnect between reality and everyday. Oh my god. Okay, so literally every autistic I know, myself included, has heard this bullshit about how we're disconnected from reality and not really seeing things as they are. People have used that as a way to get away with abuse every time we've ever come forward. They will use that exact language, that we're divorced from reality, which is the biggest line of horse shit in the world. Autistics are hyper analytical, hyper logical. We live very firmly placed in the world of reality and facts, but places like this will manipulate public knowledge of what they know about autism, knowing they've probably never picked up a DSM-5 a day in their lives, and use it as an excuse to get away with fucking abuse, and use it as a means to discount anytime someone with autism steps forward and speaks about being abused. This is why people with disabilities almost never come forward when they're being abused by a significant other or caretaker or a parent, because they know this line will be used. They know they won't be believed. We know we won't be believed because of this. It's disgusting and it's sick. But moving on. Okay, moving on. I6 noted that ALV had asked to be I6's friend after they had worked together for some time, and I6 tried to describe that they couldn't just hang out since I6 was blank and at times had to enforce consequences in the JRC system and talk with ALV about his behavior. What about your fucking behaviors, you bastards? This caused stress in their relationship, as ALV continued to want to be friends. At one point, ALV wanted a blank because of this. However, I6 reminded ALV and blank of the progress ALV had made working with I6, and they agreed to continue. I7 also stated that ALV had issues with boundaries, and that ALV doesn't discern the difference between I7 as blank and a friend, and that this causes issues even now. Oh my god, do you know how many times I've had that boundaries bullshit pulled on me by school systems? It's horse shit, folks. It's horse shit. Oh, and by the by, I have never, ever, ever tried to make a friend out of anyone that I was working with in regards to my disability in a professional capacity. Ever. Ever. Just saying. I1 described that his role was to explain to ALV rights in the program and have ALV sign a paper that he understood them. ALV kept saying, "I'm not going to be a fake," in response to being told that he had the right to be treated appropriately in the program. I1 said that the conversation lasted 10 to 15 minutes, and ALV couldn't get past his interpretation of what I1 was saying. Oh, so there's another way to discount the victim right there, folks. I see it all the time. But the way you're viewing things, Tiffany, you're not correct. Bullshit, I'm not. I come packing facts, documents, a whole file folder backing my ass up. Ask my doctors. I've probably annoyed the shit out of them. But you have to be that person when you're autistic, especially when you're an autistic adult. Because if you are not, and you do not bring that file folder in, then they are just going to treat you like you are a 6-year-old child. Just saying. I2 and I3 reported knowing ALV very well. I2 and I3 stated that they first suspected that ALV might have a crush on ALAB, and that perhaps ALAB was not doing enough to discourage ALV appropriately. I2 and I3 noted that ALV recently asked to change from I1 to ALAB and had asked to change his blank from I6 to ALAB. I2 and I3 said that they had seen ALV in the conference room alone with ALAB, which seemed odd to them, as she was neither his advocate nor his clinician. ALV had talked to I2 and I3 about LAAB after soccer outings, and they began to see that LAB was always going to the off-campus soccer events, which took many hours from her workday. Hours see that others interviewed indicated that there was excessive. I2 and I3 indicated that any one of these things might have caused concern, but taken together, they began to worry. In other words, because she wasn't shocking him to death, that's when they began to worry. They should have been worried, yes. But the fact that their worry had more to do with the fact that she wasn't torturing him like they do, yeah, there's a lot wrong there. I too stated that she had first mentioned her concerns to I near the end of March, wondering how LAB has time to go to the soccer events, and that the clinician and advocate requests came after this. I2 and I3 thought at first it was just LAV being LAV, trying to manipulate people, as he has a tendency to be needy. Here we go again with the fucking needy and him manipulating people. Really? Y'all really know nothing about autism, do you? Oh, yes. We are trying to manipulate people. Sure, Jan. That's why it says in the DSM 5, as a detriment, I might add, weirdly enough, that we are honest to a fault and we stick to a code rigidly. We stick to that code like fucking glue and will not lie, cheat, or do anything against that code, even if it's to our benefit. It's in case studies, folks. Literal case studies. And now the JRC gonna try to convince me, oh, we're so needy now, and we manipulate people because we're needy. Really? Really? You ever think, I don't know, he just wants a fucking friend, somebody to fucking care about what's happening to him in that place? Really? Maybe if you would let them socialize with one another and hang out, we wouldn't. I know Stockholm Syndrome when I see it. And I'm sorry, but he wasn't the one doing the manipulating here. You fucking ableist, sexist bastards. Moving on. I2 and I3 thought at first that just AOV being was a surprise being blah blah blah. I2 and I3 stated that then, on a Thursday, there was a surprise level 8 party for students on that level or above to mingle with administrators, but never each other. I2 and I3 went to the event, and ALV said he did not want to go, as he had hurt his ankle playing soccer. Although I2 and I3 had seen him walking okay, ALV refused, and they said that they would bring him back a plate of food. After a short time, ALV came in to the event and sat on the stairs near I2. ALAB had been at the party socializing with students, and then she came over to sit in on one of the two chairs that was right in front of ALV and I2. I2 described that interaction between ALV and LAAB seemed strange, as they both looked right at each other for a time, but neither spoke to the other. I2 said that this lack of any verbal interaction seemed strange, since she had known them to be spending significant time together. I2 and I3 spoke with I7, who said that he would also speak with I6. I7 arranged for the soccer staff to keep an eye on ALV and his interaction there. The soccer staff told them that ALAB arrived. She came to the group and said, "Am I on ALV's team?" Then later, ALV asked to use the bathroom, which the staff approved. The staff then noted that ALAB had gone that way too. The soccer staff reported that they found them together at a table talking, so that staff stayed close by. This was Tuesday. I2 and I3 said that they had agreed that they would speak with I4 the following day. They said that they did not want to accuse anyone, especially since ALV had been known to have crushes before. God, I hate you bastards. I2 stated that she just had a feeling about this, because usually there are only a very specific set of staff who interact with each student, And though ALAB was not one of those staff for ALV, she was spending significant time with them. The following morning, ALV came to I-2 and I-3 and said he needed to take the afternoon off from his campus job. There had been a planned Six Flags reward trip that was canceled, and he said that he wanted a different reward that day. Some students were going to play basketball. Some were going to Dave and Buster's, but he said that he wanted to go out to eat with blank. With I-2 asked who, he motioned down the hall and said, I-2 asked if he meant ALAB, and he said yes. I-2 and I-3 went to I-4 and I-5 with their concerns right away on April the 13th, 2016, as the trip seemed imminent. Oh, it was 2016, sorry folks. ALAB had put in for it, but I-7 had yet to approve it. Based on concerns, I-4 and I-5 and I-7 got ALAB's cell phone for review, as it's typical in the JRC environment, and several sexual texts between ALV and one number were found. There were also calls on his phone from ALB's JRC phone, one reportedly for 52 minutes after 11 at night. I-4 called the other involved number from ALV's phone, and she believed that ALAB answered, but I-4 said that she wasn't sure, so I-4, had just hung up. Just then, as I-4 was holding ALV's phone, a text came in from an unknown number. I-4 called the number again, with I-2 standing outside ALAB's office. I-2 heard it ring, and I-4 then spoke to ALAB, identifying herself and asking ALAB to come to her office. ALAB went to I-4's office and met with I-4 and I-5. I-5 asked if she knew why she was there, and I-4 reported that ALAB said she did and said, I was going to take him ALV out to lunch today and end it. I-4 said that ALAB was whimpering and looking at I-4 as if to speak, but I-4 said to ALAB that she could not hear it and informed her she had read the texts. I-4 stated that ALAB did not deny anything. I-5 told ALAB that she was terminated and needed to leave the premises immediately. I-4 said that ALAB asked about the next steps. ALAB later sent contact information to I-4 so that she could participate in the investigations. I-5 was present for meeting with ALAB and I-4. He confirmed that I-4 reported had occurred and that ALAB said that she was going to end it today and that she cried. Oh, poor staff member. She was gonna end it, guys. And she cried. Really? Really? Who wants to bet me $5 they're gonna blame the victim for everything? Watch. Watch. I-5 let it go get LAB her last check and escorted her to the office as she packed up her things that day. I-5 also had blank print out of the texts and from ALV and ALAB. The texts were in a phone application called WhatsApp. They are dated from April the 11th, 2016 to April the 13th, 2016. And between the screen names, blank, ALAB, and blank, ALV. Among the things texted from video are the following. I want to fuck you too. Oh my god, I am so in love with you, baby. I was coming because I was looking at your beautiful face, imagining you here, touching me. You are fine, beautiful, sexy, thinking about you all the time, baby. And my pussy is so wet and hot for you. The text referred to photos that ALV wanted ALAB to send him, with her face and body showing, and ALAB responds, "Wanted to, but I thought I should keep my face out of it just in case." ALAB makes references to having care for blank. ALAB makes reference to having ALV talking to I7. ALV says to ALAB that he wants to lose weight, and she responds, "You're perfect." Then, well, if you're out of that place, we could call the time and lose weight together. Lol. I forenoted about the text exchange that ALV's texts were less detailed and almost seemed confused at times. Yeah, he's being fucking manipulated. Really, people? Really? Remember, this woman's in a position of power. What happens if he says no? What have you drilled into him from day one? And there you are, fucking victim blaming him. Of course you are. The videos exchanged at one point, ALAB asks, "How did you feel watching me do that?" And ALAB responds, "Scathing." It confirmed that, to which ALAB responds, "I can tell which turned me on." No such photos or videos are found on ALV's phone. Confirmed that ALV was terminated for a violation of JRC policies. According to JRC records, ALAB had been employed at JRC. She was never ALV's assigned clinician. However, in her capacity as a staff person, she should be called upon to assist any client of the program at any time. She also would have had access to ALV's records via JRC's computerized system. ALAB had received all JRC training and should have abided by all the agency policies, which include staff-student interaction policy, which advises against slipping into the role of social friend, as it may be determined to a client's treatment. Inappropriate conversations, which advises no employee should discuss their own personal life in front of a student, as staff needs to maintain distanced and professional relationship with clients. And JRC Employee Code of Conduct, which notes that all employees are expected to protect all JRC students from any acts of abuse and neglect. Oh, protect them. Protect them? You torture them on a daily basis. You starve them. You deprive them of sleep. You traumatize them with your bizarre behavioral rehearsal lessons. And you're really shocked when they reach out for even the slightest bit of kindness from anyone? Fucking spare me. Protected my ass. Sorry. Dear students, while it's not possible to list all the examples that would be considered abuse or neglect, employees must be aware any sexual interaction with a JRC student is abuse, regardless of the age of the individual. And all written communication, including but not limited to those concerning students, shall be strictly limited to information and statements that are professional and factual. So what did I tell you, folks? They were going to victim blame him. They were going to sit there and tell you that he didn't really understand reality, which is horse shit. And they were going to sit there and tell you, but she investigated and she's sorry and she was terminated, so problem solved. Problem not fucking solved. Because as usual, the state of Massachusetts conveniently ignores the huge-ass elephant in the damn room. When you create a system of treatment where a student is not allowed to speak out in their own defense, that is based on torture, when it is drilled into their heads from day one that they are never allowed to say no to staff, what kind of employees do you think such a place is going to draw? Students are not allowed to speak out. Students are not allowed to say no. Students are not allowed to react when the other kids around them are being shocked and tortured. Who's that going to attract? Predators. Predators. It's simple. Very simple. And yet, our own DC Circuit Court can't see that. When to the rest of us rational folks, it's as clear as day. And what did we also learn? The reason why people with neurological disorders do not come forward about abuse, the reason I did not come forward against my ex in regards to abuse, is because we are never fucking believed. Our allegations are never taken seriously. And more often than not, they are dismissed by this idea that we don't understand the reality around us. We don't understand what's actually happening to us. Which is the biggest line of bullshit in the world. But folks, it happens every single day. Everywhere. And on that dark, horrible note, I'm going to close out for this morning. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, please don't forget to hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this morning. And as always, we here at Smelling Tea hope you have a good one.